So did he. Well, his big, giant, old-school Yamaha receiver had slowly but surely failed. He hadn't been listening to music. I didn't know that. On one of the first visits when I went down there, I turned it on and it almost blew up. And I said, I'll be right back. And I went to the place where we always went, and I got him this year's version of it and put it in. And for as long as he was alive from that moment after, he listened to music every day. And that meant a lot to me. That meant a lot to me. Dad wrote the check himself to me. I think Dad wrote 3 checks in 40 years that he was alive. My mom did all that. But my mom started crying. She goes, Ruth, give me the checkbook, which are 4 words I'd never heard before.
Here we are once again, another one of our Mike and Mike's Off-Air podcasts. Mike Pesto.
And Mike O'Neill right here, my friend.
And for the 3rd week in a row, we get to wave at you because we're back on YouTube, also at my975fm.com. Space set up right there for our videos every week, and the audio is always available at my975fm.com.
And do the like thing, right?
Yes. What is it?
Love that.
There are a lot of YouTube channels who do and don't forget to smash that bell for alerts. So we'll mention that too. Apparently.
I'm not that cool, Mike. So
I don't know what any of it means, but I hear it because I think I've mentioned before. I watch more YouTube on our smart TV than I watch anything else. I love news that way. In fact, I was talking with someone here at the station just today about how do you get your news? About TikTok? No. Literally, I'll go and check out MSNBC's intro monologue from all their big announcers and see what their talking points are. Then I'll do the same thing with Fox. Then I'll do the same thing with CNN. And I don't worry about the interviews and the commentary after that. It's okay. You hit what you thought were the big things. I'll do my own homework. Thank you very much. And I'll come up with my own opinions.
I'm the same way. Bullet points, get me out of here. I just want to know, did a plane crash into a helicopter? That sucks. Yeah. And what else? And off you go. That's wild. That is wild. Hey, I was duped.
Yes, you were.
I was duped. And actually, my wife was duped first, and then she brought me along for the ride. And I said, hey, that sounds like 2 great date nights. And what those are not, are 2 movies that are not coming out because, as you explained to me, as a result of the lack of Facebook's
oversight and policing that they used to have for fake posts and deep fakes and things like that.
There are movie trailers out there that sucked us in. And I'll tell you what, the Twilight 6 one is pretty good. I mean, they have a legit, it's the actual gal that grew up to be Renesmee, and the story was based around her being grown up and all the fire of the Volturi being all whipped up about her. And then there's honest to God, there is a brain stopped working just now. Forrest Gump 2 trailer out. And oh my gosh, I would have been so all about seeing that movie. Well, we're not seeing those movies, but the non-trailers were pretty good.
As soon as you mentioned Twilight, first thing I asked you was, so Kristen Stewart, and I forget the name of the actor who played opposite her, who's going on to be Batman.
Yeah.
They're not in it, are they? Oh, yeah. I'm like, they don't get along. I mean, they got along very, very well, if you know what I mean, while filming was going on. But as soon as it was over, there was a huge rift between them. And I never really got into the who, what, where, when, why, but that surprised me. And then you mentioned the Forrest Gump, and then a huge bell went off, because I've seen those reports of a Forrest Gump, too. And I'm like, you may want to check.
Oh, I did.
The site that I always reference anyone to for anything like that is IMDb. It stands for International Movie Database, but it's just imdb.com.
You'll go right there.
If there's anything that's legit coming out of Hollywood, whether it's TV or movie, there'll be some information there on it. So I've gotten somewhat pulled in when I've seen Marvel content pop up or Star Wars content. And if I really bite hard on that hook, before I really get excited, I'll go to IMDb and I'll see, nope, nothing about Star Wars yet. Son of a...
It looked good, though. It really did, I have to say. With all the great AI movie software that's out there right now, you can really take bits of this and bits of that and come up with a pretty good, darn near a movie trailer. But, well, sorry, honey, we're going to have to find another date night or two.
There goes your what to watch suggestion.
Yes, I was going to use them.
Yeah. So it's been a difficult week for us as a family, as you know.
Yes.
My mother-in-law passed away day after my daughter's 13th birthday, which was difficult for my daughter because she has been wanting to be a 13-year-old, a teenager specifically, since she could say the word teenager. When she became 10, she's like, I'm happy birthday, you're 10. No, I'm not 10. I'm a preteen. She was all about that.
Why do they want to grow up in a half an hour? I had 3 daughters.
We all did, though. If you remember, that's one thing I'm very good. You can ask my wife about, and because I'll ask her every once in a while when she asks me about things with our daughter or our son who's 16. Why do they have to be like that? I'm like, were you never a 13-year-old girl? Try to remember how much that meant to you.
Yeah.
So
that was an iconic year.
Yeah. With my mother-in-law passing on Tuesday, she asked me how the kids are doing. I said, well, your daughter misses the fact that you missed a major milestone birthday. She said, that's all that's been on our mind. I'm like, no, not all. But again, try to remember how much that milestone birthday meant to you. And I remember a few years ago when my dad passed, and I asked my son how he was doing. And he said, well, Dad, it's him passing is not the same as like you passing because you lived with him. You grew up with him. I see him on birthdays and Christmases and maybe once a month or so if we visit them or if they come to us, and we went golfing. And so it's obviously not going to hit me as hard.
And in my family, when my dad passed, it was similar but different because I'm remarried. My daughter from the first go-round did spend a lot of time with my dad, and she fell apart at the funeral. Whereas my kids were sad, but they didn't have a lot of exposure to their grandfather because we'd moved away and were long gone. So I understand that completely.
Now, you lost your dad.
Yes.
I've lost mine. Your mom is still with us. My mom is still with us.
My mom swears to God that she's going to outlive all of us, and she's 92 and on the way. It's hilarious.
When your dad passed, though, were you, as comfortable as you are talking about it, obviously, were you thinking this is it? Did you wrap your brain around, okay, I know the days are numbered?
Meaning, did I know that I believe he was passing?
Yes.
Yes, only because my dad was what a fighter, Michael. 3 years of this lung cancer. Oh. He survived the chemo, which did something, but not much. And then they irradiated it, and boom, it just stopped.
Okay.
For about a year and a half, 2 years. And we had some hope there, but I just kind of always sort of knew in the back of my head, and then it started up again. And I just knew. I could see him wasting away. I just knew. And when we got hospice involved, it became obvious that that's what it was going to be. And I went down every other week for months and just sat in the living room and talked with him. And we talked about everything. Every little thing. Dad, I mean, this thing, this, that. We made everything. We talked about everything. And I got to the point when I realized we've talked about everything. We're done. And he really hasn't imparted any new real information as a dad to me in a long time. Nothing new.
Uh-huh.
And I realized, God, he's done it all.
Yeah.
And you know what the next thing that hit me was? And this was big for me. It was like, oh my God, I'm 40-something. Am I ready to be the eldest Brett O'Neill at this point?
Yeah.
And there were some parts where I was like, no, I'm not all there. I got some ducks to get in a row. And it was just interesting. It made me look in like, wow, people are looking over here now. I better get my house in order. And all that comes around when your dad passes.
When my dad passed, it was a much different situation in that, if you remember, he actually had West Nile. Mm-hmm. And when he was checked into the hospital, I wasn't here. I was still here in Visalia. This was in Templeton, which is the closest hospital where my folks live in Paso. So my mom told me, hey, I had to take Dad back to the hospital. And I said, okay, I will be there tomorrow. Actually, she told me at night. She checked him in at night now that I remember. And I got in my car and I got there as quickly as I could. By the time I got there, it was like a half hour after visiting hours. I thought, okay, no worries. We'll see him tomorrow. When we got to the hospital the next day, the West Nile virus had done enough damage that he was gone, basically. All vital signs were fine.
Sepsis?
But he was staring up in a corner.
Oh.
And we thought, why is he looking up there? And we would kind of elevate on our tiptoes to kind of get at his eye level to see if we could bring his eyes back down. And no. So, I mean, the whole lights are on, but nobody's home expression, obviously. And that's how he was from that point on until he passed. So we never got those conversations that okay. And even when he did pass, it was a Sunday night. And I remember that because we went up to UCSF. He was treated there. That's where he was diagnosed with West Nile. At Templeton, they had no idea. They were treating the symptoms without realizing what the underlying cause was. They couldn't figure it out. Even though we told them that he spent some time with us here in the Valley a couple of weeks before all of this started happening, because they weren't having any major mosquito issues there in Paso that particular year. Well, we always do here.
Yeah.
And Delta Vector does a great job of getting information out and letting people know how to get standing water off your property. And if they do tell you to do it, please do it.
But how do you keep a mosquito away?
And that's ultimately, it's, as I told my mom and my wife, it's not supposed to be a death sentence. It's one of the reasons why there's not a lot of research that's gone into attacking that particular virus as much as there was with COVID and AIDS and some other ones. Because 99 times out of 100, it doesn't take a life. Well, in my dad's case, it did. I think he was only one of 2 people in Tulare County that got it, and the only one that died of West Nile that year.
That's crazy.
And just like I said, we didn't get those moments. And when I did leave, I thought, because I was there with them when they took out the respirator, because they said he can't be on it any longer. 10 days, apparently, is the maximum you can be intubated. They said it has to come out now, or it stays in and he may be on it for the rest of his life. And my mom said, no, that's not what he would want. That's not what we want. Let's give him a fighting chance. Let's see how he does. And they took it out, and he was getting better by the vitals I was seeing on the screen in front of me. And I thought, he's getting better. He just needed a chance. We gave him a chance, and his body's going to fight it. I got to go home. I got to be on the air tomorrow. I got home. I ate about 2-hour drive or so from Paso, and I was about ready to go to sleep, and I got the call from my mom saying that he was gone.
Oh, man.
And I came in the next day, and I did my show because I knew that's what he would have wanted, because that's who he was. When he dedicates himself to something, he did it to a fault at times. He made sure that the clients that he took care of, he was in the insurance business, were taken care of, because that was his job. And it's not just a job for him, it's how he identified himself.
Sorry.
So it's to a positive, I don't think it's going to end. With my mother-in-law, it was the same situation. She was also intubated, and they took it out, and she was breathing well on her own. I thought, okay, cool. She also passed not of West Nile, but lung cancer.
Yeah.
And she had just gotten a treatment before she went in, and if you know anything about, I think it was the chemo is what she had, it takes a week before it starts working, and the benefits of it can last 3 to 4 weeks afterwards. So I'm like, let's get her to that week. Let's get her to that week. And she got to the week, and that's when they took the tube out. I'm like, she's going to be fine. The chemo's going to start kicking in. It's going to start kicking the cancer's ass, and she's going to need more. She's not out of the woods. And then got the word the day after my daughter's birthday that she passed as well. But I like that aspect of my mentality where I'm always thinking the best is going to happen, as opposed to knowing it's going to be the worst and really believing that. But it got me to thinking about something else that I thought maybe too heavy to talk about on the air on My 97.5, but wanted to ask you. Would you, in either situation, whether you're the one in the bed or the one with the person in the bed, want to know, like it is in the movies, and it is like it is in the movies, where everyone's sitting in the chair, everyone's fine, no one has any major symptoms, you've got 4 weeks to live. Would you want to, and it's beyond a shadow, I mean, every doctor you've talked to, you know, you've got a month. On that 31st day, that's it. Would you want to know that, or would you not want to know?
I think so, because even though I think we all, and I mean, anybody that's done any marriage counseling at all, you kind of learn to start living like you're dying. You kind of learn how to start living like it's going to be taken away from you. And I would like to know, because I mean, there's some things Colleen and I haven't done, and I'd like to get them in just so that we can have done them. If I only had a month to live, we're going to Ireland. Sorry, Randy, I'm leaving. I'm going to be gone for a week because I only have 4 more. And I would want to get them in. I would want to spend as much time with my family, making it clear to them how much I love them and how much they mean to me. And to put all my affairs in order and be able to make sure my Social Security gets to my wife and get everything set up for her to the very, very best of my ability. The husband in me would want to be able to do that.
Now, if it
rather
was
than just, surprise, good luck, honey.
If it was a family member, not you, would you also want to know? Or does that change it enough for you?
No, it was kind of like that with Dad in a way, only because after what I told you earlier, after all those visits, he turned to me on one of them and said, Mike, we're good. Stop coming down here. Meaning I was coming very frequently.
Yeah.
Where I wouldn't, because it's a 3.5-hour one-way drive. And said, stop coming. I'll call you when I need you. And technically he didn't, meaning it just when he started to it was only about a month or so later, he got really sick fast.
Okay.
And when you die of the way he did anyway of lung cancer, you're in a what's the drug that they use to keep them sedated?
I forget now. How do you think I would know?
Anyway, it's one of the high heavy duty. It's like he was in a Demerol coma basically.
Okay.
And that's just where he died there. They got him comfortable and quiet and out, and he died there. And no one said goodbye at that point. He was just
gone.
Gone to us, but still living and failing fast.
Gotcha.
He passed away in a Demerol coma. But I still felt like because of those trips, I got to say everything I needed to say. He got to tell me what he thought of me and how proud he was of me. And, just go live your damn life, would you? And it was good. I mean, you want a sweet story?
Yeah.
My father loves music. He is why I know as much about classical music as I do, because it's all he ever listened to. And I know so much about classical music because of him. As he started to get ill, and we loved audio video stuff together. We were into hi-fi together. I've got an amazing audio system. I said, I'll be right back. And I went to the place where we always went, and I got him this year's version of it and put it in. And for as long as he was alive, from that moment after, he listened to music every day. And that meant a lot to me. Dad wrote the check himself to me. I think Dad wrote 3 checks in 40 years that he was alive. My mom did all that. But my mom started crying. She goes, Ruth, give me the checkbook, which are 4 words I'd never heard before. And he wrote me the check for the receiver, and he wouldn't let me give it to him. And he listened to it, and I ended up with it when he passed. And it only blew up about 2 years ago. And then my son bought me the replacement.
Okay.
But how cool is that? I got to give Dad one of the best pleasures of his life that he loved back to him before he passed. He just didn't have the time because he was too busy trying to be healthy,
Yeah, and I definitely believe what's in the Bible as far as we can't know, we won't know the exact time of when our passing or the return when Jesus comes back again. But to kind of know everyone that's been really close to me, my grandmother, my dad, and now my mother-in-law, has been in fairly similar situations where it's coming. However, my grandfather, and this is what tells me I kind of feel the same way that you do, that I'd want to know the sun is setting, at least. With my grandfather, he was going fishing. He woke up early in the morning, got the fishing pole, got everything ready, kissed my grandma goodbye like he did on every other trip that he'd ever taken, got in the car, got about halfway there, had a major heart attack and died. No clue it was coming, but that was his time, and there was no goodbye. In fact, when he passed, my grandfather and my uncle, there was a huge rift apparently between them at the time.
Wow.
And as my uncle never told me this story. He told my mom, and she told me that when they were in church and he was on his knees and he was just praying to himself, he just kept saying, Dad, just give me a sign that we're good. Give me a sign that we're okay. I mean, we never got a chance to talk the last couple of weeks or so because of our pettiness, because of our pride. Let me know. And, at altars, they've got the flowers there, and they were dropping petals like crazy. Aww. And at some point, they stopped, and after he finished his prayer, a single petal fell.
There it is.
And it reminds me of the verse in the Bible again about, I am not in the wind and the rain, and that I'm in that whisper after the storm, sort of thing. So that was his message from my grandfather. Say, hey, it's fine. I know things weren't good between us toward the end, but